Good morning, good morning. How are you doing this fine January morning? Oh, you know, starting off a new year. Got my phone last Sunday, so I'm sorry I didn't get a Getting Real made last Sunday, but this is Getting Real with Brother David. And this is where we get real at. And we're getting starting a new year. So I challenge y'all to get real with a new person. To change your life, to change the way you live, to change the way you do things, to change the way you think, to change the way or whom you depend on. You know, have you ever sat there and thought about who you actually depended on? I'm not just talking about when things go sideways and it seems like the world is falling apart. You know, you run to somebody to try to save you, try to make it better, try to fix it. Maybe you come to, you call on the Lord at that time. The only time you ever talk to God is at that time. But I'm talking about every single day. Who do you depend on? Do you depend on yourself? Do you depend on your job? Do you depend on your spouse? Do you depend on somebody else to come in and tell you what to do, tell you how to do, tell you where to go, things of that nature? Well, I'm going to tell you, we need to think about who we depend on daily. Because who we depend on daily actually decides who we depend on in the time of trouble. Who we depend on daily helps us to get through life. To face the struggles that each and every one of us is going to face. And, you know, if you've come to Christ, I want you to understand that the struggles are real. Especially after you come to Christ. Oh, Satan gets on you real hard after that. But life in general is a struggle. And we each have to depend on somebody, something to get through those struggles. If we depend on ourselves, oftentimes we fail. If we depend on the advice of others, oftentimes that advice is not what we really needed to have done. But I'm going to tell you what God says. In Isaiah 55, verse 6, God says, "Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call to him while he is near." We are to seek the Lord. First off, we're to seek him for our salvation. When Isaiah says here, "Seek the Lord while he may be found," I want you to understand something. God is not always going to struggle with you. He's not always going to call you to salvation. There's going to come a point where you have had the opportunity and God closes the door. Right now, God is near. God is calling. So if you haven't accepted that call, now's the time to do that. But if you have accepted that call, God says, keep him near. Seek him always. When we get up in the morning, we need to seek him. We need to ask him for advice on how to get through that day. We need to seek his strength to get through, to make it back home, to make it through another day, to make it through another night. Because he is the only one we need. He is the only one we need to ask advice from. He's the only one we need to seek in times of troubles. And just throughout our daily life. He's the one we need to listen to. So, and I know it's easy to get caught up in the world. It's easy to say, look, I'm having these problems. What would you do about it? What is your advice? Things like that. Because they're there, we can see them, we can feel them, we can hear them. But I'm telling you right now, we can hear God, we can feel God, we can see God if we're seeking Him. I can't see nothing if I'm not seeking it. I can go out in the woods, climb up in the deer stand, sit down in the deer stand, and pull out my phone and start playing a game or start going through Facebook or something like that, and deer walk out in front of me, go back and forth, and I never see them because I'm not actively looking for them. To see God, to hear God, to feel God, I've got to be looking for Him. That's just like when I'm teaching class. I've got to be seeking to see whether or not the students are learning. I've got to be watching to see whether or not they're cheating. I've got to be alert. I've got to be looking. If we want to find God, if we want to hear His advice, if we want to see Him and feel Him, I have to be seeking Him so that I can be near His presence. It's not going to do me any good to say that I know Him and I never look for Him. I never sit down beside Him and ask His advice. I'll never hear His voice if I'm not looking for it. So guys, start this new year out with a new attitude, a new person, a person that seeks God every day, all day in their life. Until the next time it's getting real, God bless you, and I'll pray for you. Until the next time, bye.